Claire,
Hello, hello.
how is first of all, for everybody who's tuning in, we're going to be talking about autoimmune, implant, explants, some of the emotions that go around with it, and sharing with some women. I'm super excited about that.
I love talking about this. I can talk about it all day, every day.
Out of curiosity, how was the Thanksgiving?
It was good. Been sick for a couple weeks though. I feel like we talked about it in the 29-degree group, but I've been sick for a couple of weeks, and it's like I cannot shake it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, I wasn't going to do live last night because I got back, and I'm like, all of a sudden, I looked like I was stoned, and my nose, my throat, my chest, and then so what I did is I went immediately, took my urine, and then boom, within 30 minutes, and then I got this morning, I can't do it live. I went and did my urine. I'm like, oh, I'm good. And then just before that, I'm like, I can't do it again. I'm not feeling that way, and then boom, done.
It's all the signs. I need to get off this when we're done and do it, right?
Yeah, and let us know how it works.
Little lime.
Yeah. So,
how are you doing? How are you doing? How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was fantastic. We were in Costa Rica.
I saw you got stuck there.
Yeah, I got stuck there. I had 2 days of travel for a 2-hour flight.
That is a lot.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Oh my God.
And then getting back, so I was a little bit extra fatigued and stressed coming back, but I think that's actually why I was detoxing so hard.
That makes sense. That completely makes sense.
Now, were you skiing or snowboarding?
Snowboarding, yeah. I went snowboarding. And the first day we went up, every time I go up to Tahoe, I seem to get sick. And it's starting to trend. And so I'm like, I can't be having this happening. And this time I told Ryan, I was like, this time when we go up, I'm not going to get sick. And we get there and I'm congested. And I'm like, is it the altitude? What is it? But I was like, I'm not going to not snowboard. So went out there and hit the slopes.
So now you've had some time. You've been helping yourself. You've been kicking the autoimmune stuff out. Yee!
Yeah, it's feeling good. I actually woke up a little itchy this morning, so I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's just normal. Actually, it's your body because there's different layers in which the toxins affect.
Okay.
So eczema isn't just one layer, and as you clean out one organ and one layer, sometimes another one comes back. That's why I was showing my rashes that look like chicken pox.
That makes total sense. And as a matter of fact, it made me think, and I don't know what, in my brain when I woke up today, I was like, I'm going to switch up my maneuvers today. I'm just going to switch them up. And I was actually going to be doing like the descending colon stuff today.
Right. Perfect. Yeah, because you're probably just feeling it because the autoimmune's coming from there. And when you get right into that lower part of the colon and you stretch it, it starts to move because that's all it is. It's the small intestine controls the skin.
Yep. So that something woke up not in my gut, but literally in my gut, I guess. But I woke up and I was like, I'm going to switch it up today. And I need to really, actually, when Ryan gets home, I was going to have him help me. I thought you guys have the best videos on your page.
Thank you.
For anything that's like, this I got going on, this I got going on. I know I can just scroll through your page and go, right there. Okay.
We've been working really hard to get it easier. And we also, on our website now, we're putting all these quick links. Like the things that I would recommend to people that I kept recommending, we put them in individual links and we put them on the website so it's easier.
Smart. I'm just not tech savvy a lot of the time, so I'm like, I'm just going to go on Instagram.
Yeah. Try it out. Like go to our actual website and see what you think. And then, because what we sorted them is upper, lower, reset, barefoot sprinter, partnered maneuvers, basic, intermediate, advanced, and then things like frozen shoulder, stuff like that, all these different conditions that people have.
Yeah. You know what? I keep hearing you guys talk about the left shoulder. It's always my right shoulder.
Well, it's because you're a 29-degree Pisces and you're carrying the emotions of everybody around you on your right shoulder.
That isn't the truth. But I don't mind it because I can, you know?
Yeah. So reflections now, okay? Your journey coming through. When you met me, again, you were like at a low point. And there was like, okay, I got to get rid of this. Your skin issues were up. You started doing maneuvers, took some supplements. That starts to go away right away. but now your body's changing and you're going through stuff. What's your reflection going back? Like if you're talking to somebody who's brand new, who's looking at this, who says, I've got all these skin conditions, I've got anxiety, depression, I got all this stuff going on, I'm feeling bad. What's your journey so far? Like if you look back and recap.
To me, the biggest thing that I can say is that, well, two things. Number one, it's a perpetual work. You're constantly doing the work in a good way. It's not you take this one pill, you take this one supplement, and you're good. It's not that, because our bodies are ever evolving, our souls are ever evolving, our emotions are ever evolving. There's things coming in every day that's different. So it's learning how to just adjust the sails and keep on going with it and stick with it and honor your body and stay on that path. And for me, there's been a lot of people, especially in the explant community, who will reach out and say, I'm nervous to take out my implants because what if it doesn't go away? Or what if it comes back? Or did your rash not go away? Or did this not go away? And my biggest thing is like, yes, it went away and it comes back and it goes and it comes back, because our lives are like that.
Right.
You know, there's stuff coming in, emotions coming in. And, you know, I can go visit my mom one day and a lot of emotions come up. And whereas the next day it might not bother me as much. So it's ever evolving. That's like the biggest thing for me, is just constantly just stay on top of the work, do the work. And if I fall back, things will pop up, but get back into it and stay with it and honor yourself by sticking with it. You know,
so
it's a huge thing.
So basically, it's not been a complete uphill.
Yeah.
You kind of go up and down, and that's okay.
Yeah, and I think it's very okay with me, because it's my body doing what my body does. Our body's doing what our bodies do, which is giving you the signals, giving you the little red flags and saying, pay attention here. You're not sleeping as much there, so bring it back.
Do you think your body was giving you the same signals before?
Absolutely, but I was fighting it.
Right. And why were you fighting it, though?
I was fighting it. We talked about this, but I was fighting it because in my mind, I was telling my body, like, I was angry. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you breaking out in a rash? Why? I worked so hard on healing. Why is it doing this? Why is my shoulder locked? Like, why is it? It's frustrating. And like, I'm doing so much work and like trying my best. And why is it doing this to me? Versus like, our body knows exactly what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And listening to our body. I wasn't listening to my body. I was trying to fight it almost.
So
our body gets those rashes for a reason.
So here's one. Just close your eyes and feel your body and say, stupid body, why am I having this? Try it.
Stupid body, why am I having this?
It doesn't feel good, right?
No.
So just say, hey, body, I love you and trust you.
Hey, body, I love you and I trust you. That feels so much better. And even just saying it, it's like, makes all the difference in the world. Our bodies are perfectly made and they know exactly what they're doing.
Right.
They know exactly what.
Right. But you know what? Because I was like, as a practitioner, when I was doing a therapy that no one else was doing, so I hadn't transferred it to anybody.
Yeah.
And I had all these clinicians around me. I found myself repairing people or fixing them, which I don't believe in anymore. And I was fixing them, but what happened in the fixing of them was I was angry because I wanted what they had, which was making my problem worse.
Yeah, makes sense. It totally makes sense. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy what we tell our bodies and what our bodies listen to.
Yeah, and also, like you said, I was angry at my body. It's like, damn it! I just this is so aggravating. I just want to do this. I just want to do this, and I wasn't giving my body the container, the space and time. And if I'm angry at my body, I mean, if I say mean things to a plant, you know, they do with their kids, right? So baby coming soon. You say mean things to a plant in school. They say mean things to one, good things to another. The plant rises, but how are we any different?
It's the same with water. It changes the actual structure of the water.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk bad versus when you speak goodness to it. I mean, I've seen so many studies on that. It's insane. My friend Tracy is like a water expert, and she talks about this stuff all the time. She's a water nerd, and I love it. And it's just, truly, the water changes structure.
Yeah,
when you speak good or bad.
Oh, you know,
oh my God, how cute.
Is that your friend?
Ryan's watching. Husband.
Oh, hey, Ryan.
He's watching. He's so cute with it. Every time we come on, he'll come home and he leaves when I do these, and he'll come home and be like, "You did so great. You look great." He's the best.
So I had this. I watched a girl who was testing water.
Okay.
She had a dish of salt water, and then she left a crystal pyramid in her. And then she forgot, she was running an experiment, came back and forgot it. And she noticed that all of the water, all the salt had reformed in crystal pyramids. So she thought, that's curious. So she did the same thing and left it without, and then left one with a square block in it. And then all of the salt had formed a crystal pyramid or a flattened or a square block.
Yep. Oh my gosh. I have a question. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off. I was just reading one of the comments, and it was talking about urine therapy and what if you have a UTI. I'm curious about that. I'm curious about that.
Well, okay, so that's a good point, because there's a lot of misconception around this, and I find that if there's a topic that's really good in human health, you're gonna get I'll give you one right now. Boron is, I have an NIH report that you can DM me, and I will tell you, and I'll give you right from the NIH the effects of boron, including how it works and cures cancer and how it's the most important element. But if boron's delivery mechanism, if you want to get it with boric acid or borax, if you say that, you actually, it's against the law to say you can consume it. But what is it? It's boron.
Yeah.
It's oxygen, and it's sodium, and oxygen and sodium and boron, but boron is the element. So you'll find a lot of controversy about things like this, and so here's my journey, because you can argue about anything that works. You'll have two branches of science: the one that does it, that wants you to stay in pharmaceuticals, and the one that doesn't.
Yeah.
Now, it's been done for thousands of years by Ayurvedic doctors. I've used it in the clinic, in the Human Garage clinic, and I have a girl coming on, Dr. Joe Chivasana. He's one of the world's leading vascular surgeons. And his wife went in, had a bowel obstruction, and was impacted, and was at 28 days. And they're like, we have to remove your colon, or you're going to die. And this is one of the world's best vascular surgeons. He has 7 clinics. He has hundreds of doctors that he works with, and dozens that are in his clinics performing surgery. And he goes, there has to be a better answer. So anyways, he exhausted all Western medicine, flew her over to India in a private jet to see a world famous Ayurvedic doctor. Ayurvedic doctor looks at her and says, I just drink your urine, come back tomorrow. She did, and boom, all passed. And so when he told me this, that was one event that had a high level of credibility for me, because he goes, he became a contributor to the Human Garage Clinic after that. And so I'm like, you're one of the best in the world. You're a doctor. You're world known. And then I started to believe a little bit more. Then the next thing was, I had a personal friend who had got shot and stabbed 10 years ago, and he was addicted to opiates, pharmaceutical opiates. And he couldn't get off the addiction no matter what, went in and out of rehabs, all that. And then I was talking to him a little while ago, and he goes, and I go, how did you get rid of the opiate addiction? He goes, urine therapy. And I'm like, what? And I said, yeah. And I said, how long did it take you? I'm curious. 1 day. And I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm doing it. I'm going to try it.
Yep.
And I, a lot of what Human Garage is, hi, Ryan.
It's Irma.
Yeah. A lot of what Human Garage is right there.
No.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of what Human Garage has done is, if we were to believe the peer-reviewed science, mm-hmm. then all this healing that's happening by 20 million people in the world wouldn't exist. So what we've done is we said, okay, clear the bullshit. I'll go test it myself. And then I will go to close friends and people that I know that I've worked with over the years, medical or otherwise, and I'll test it with them. And we'll come back with our information. So when we did this,
I love it.
Things started changing. And so even if you have what happens is there's a belief that if I have a UTI, well, first of all, it's already in you.
Yeah.
And the other part about it is that when your body's functioning properly, it manages the bacteria, the viruses, and the parasites. So when my body has to produce hormones, it loses its function. So here's an example. I go to sleep at night, my body heals all night long. That's the purpose of sleep. Well, it's producing all these hormones and stem cells. So guess what comes out in the urine? So even if I have a bacterial that I just already had it in me, it's not going to hurt to go back in me. So what happens is I put it in. Now my body regulates its internal pH by balancing the amount of hormones that it has to use, because producing hormones causes a lot of acidity and a lot of energy draw. And then my body can heal better. So it's paradoxical when you think about it. And this is my opinion based upon my many years of doing this. And I have seen some world-class cases. I've seen everything from autoimmunes that have resolved all the way up to I've seen people. I'm not going to actually go in the diagnosis path because that just gets flagged. But I've seen people that have tremendously benefited in their life, both physically, emotionally, neurologically, and my own personal is that my energy is constant. Last night I couldn't have come on this live. This morning I wasn't able to come on the live. I'm perfectly okay right now.
I know, you sound way better than I do. I'm still so congested.
So it's a long answer, but I wanted to. People ask these short answers, and you have to put it all in perspective.
No, that actually makes complete sense, and I appreciate you speaking about that, because there's a lot of times where it's like people will give the short answers, and you're just kind of like, oh, really? And I even see people in the comments going, really? But when you give the long answer and you explain it, and it's so much, it's like, I get it.
Yeah, but it's a tough rap to Google anything about the body, because who owns Google? Pharma.
Yep.
They're the ones that told you to put the implants in.
Exactly.
They're the ones that told you to take all the SSRIs and mood stabilizers and hormone, and they're also the ones that are also creating endocrine disruptors that cause all the hormonal issues in the first place. So.
Yep. It's one big cycle. It's one big, they give the medicine. It drives me crazy. I was trying to talk to somebody about it the other day, and I was like, it's too much. It's too much.
But don't you get that? But even when you talk about implants, isn't this? I mean, it's better well known. But years ago, when you did your explant, and through that journey, wasn't it the same type of conversation? It was polarizing. People are like, "You're full of shit. That's not going to hurt you. It's not silicone. It's saline." Wasn't it the same kind of thing?
Honestly, Gary, up until about a year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe, people were saying the exact same thing. People were very much. I got asked to do a panel for the plastic surgeons in New York, a full panel to speak to them. And when I got asked to do it, the people who asked me to do it said, forewarning, over 50% of these doctors will be hitting you with the hard questions and like not agreeing with what you're saying and not wanting you on that stage.
You know what's crazy? A doctor's job is to be a scientist, is to ask the question. And if your experiment, it's like I'm doing a petri dish experiment, and I'm like, no, that can't be that way. No, that doesn't agree. I don't agree with that. They're not observing the petri dish.
Exactly. And that's I think that has greatly shifted now to where there are, I mean, when I had gotten my explant, it was when everybody was going, where are you getting this done? I flew to Florida, which love it and wouldn't change a thing. But people in California, in where I live, are going, where's the ones local? And I didn't have an answer because there wasn't any local who were doing the right explants in the right way.
Right.
So it's a lot different now. And now they're going, there's some truth to this.
Hey,
there's a lot of truth to this.
Claire, here's how I deal with medicine and science. Okay. 4 out of 5 doctors in 1950 recommended smoking as a healthy way of dealing with the body and even in pregnancy. Okay. When I was a kid, we used to spray DEET to control mosquitoes, and we would have these machines that sprayed them, and because it was perfectly safe. It's like there are all of these things that were, if we go back and we know history 20 years ago, we said, like take all the fats out of your diet and you'll get less fat.
Yeah.
People got all diabetes. So basically science and medicine science had proved it all 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago. And I say to myself one question all the time: what am I doing today that I'm going to look back on in 30 years and say that was stupid?
Yeah. Smart. Very smart. And there's a lot of things that and like I said, not knocking the medical community, because bloods, broken bones, all this stuff I understand. But when it comes to medications, when it comes to a lot of things and a lot of information, it's they're going based off of years ago of books and schooling that's not necessarily evolving into accurate now. And they're just
right. So that, and you're right. It's not about the doctors. I have so many doctors that are colleagues and friends.
Yeah.
But it's not about the doctors. It's about the institution. Like, doctors are fantastic. It's there's a unspoken, I'm not going to say anything too loud because I'm going to be persecuted for it. They're being persecuted for their own beliefs.
Yeah. And then there's also the diving 10 times more deeper into the education of things and really understanding, how much education do doctors have on nutrition? How much education do they have on, I speak to dermatologists all the time about eczema and the amount of doctors that say it's an autoimmune thing, it's not a gut thing. It's
okay. That's a funny one, because literally an autoimmune is a gut thing. That's where your autoimmunity is. It happens in the small intestine. That's the permeable barrier that is being crossed. But they weren't trained that. But natural doctors know that. It's just allopathic don't. But it's changing. Like, I have a whole bunch of allopathic doctors now that are going, that's bullshit.
Yeah, good. And that's how it needs to evolve into, because I'm sitting here, I'm not a doctor, and I know this. It all makes sense. So it's really hard.
So somebody was in the comments that just had the explants out a month ago. I was going to bring her live, but her account doesn't look like it's private. Doesn't look like it's public. Yeah. So if you had an explant out, I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to put it in the comments. And so
I want you to.
So what do you say to, like, okay, so you were at this peak of autoimmune. What are the stuff that you had tried in order to get rid of your eczema? And mostly yours is in your arms, right?
What did I not try? I tried literally everything, Gary. I mean, you name it, I tried it. It was, where do I start? I also, because it was a point of desperation, I tried the creams, the lotions, the medications, the ointments, all this stuff. When I would sit there and go, nothing is working, I'll try anything. Desperation, like, I will try anything. And I would try those things, and all the medications had reactions. There was always a flip side to trying the creams and the lotions and the steroid creams. It was, brutal. I tried, being on the sun. You name it, red light therapy. I tried everything. I tried, going in the sauna. I can't even explain. You name it, I did it. Short of urine therapy.
Hey, so I got Boy, Idaho. If you want to come live and talk about that, can you request? Because I can't bring you up. So the thing about it is that you tried everything. At your greatest point of desperation, you reached out to me.
Yeah, true.
Honestly, I'm used to that. That's how it works. And so how long was the transition from you just following the maneuvers, taking some supplements? Like, what was the?
It was really quickly. I will say, along with it too, I'm doing I feel like it coincides with it, but also doing I'm blanking on the word, where, like, just a lot of body work. A lot of body work is what I was doing. Getting out of my mind and doing body work. I'm totally blanking on it too. But basically, like, getting my body out of fight or flight, because with all my rashes, with my lowest point, when I reached out to you, I was probably sleeping 3 hours a night max on a good night, and that was not even consistent. It was like waking up, falling asleep, and then I would get 3 hours of sleep. So it was like this cycle and this like snowball effect of it, just things were getting worse and worse and worse, not better. But once I started doing the body work, once I started doing, gosh, what is it called? Where you do, I'm totally blanking on it.
Fascia?
No, that I was doing, but also with that, the like finishing the trauma cycles, closing the trauma cycles.
Oh, somatic therapy?
Somatic therapy. Yeah. Yes. Doing somatic therapy as well. So actually doing body somatic therapy and kind of like realizing that while I'm at my lowest point, it's was triggering all this like fight or flight, like get me out of my skin, get me out of my body. What is my body fighting it? I guess, fighting it. So when I started doing all this, it was probably a week, maybe a week.
Yeah.
Because I think we saw in person like 2 weeks later, I think.
Yeah, 2 weeks later, and you'd already started to transition. I could see it.
Yeah, and it's just it's the same thing we talked about last time, a couple weeks ago, which was surrendering. Once I saw you, I was very even when I saw you in person, it was a state of like defensive protectiveness.
Yeah.
Versus like letting go and surrendering and going.
You hide it really well.
Huh?
You hide it really well.
No. You know what? It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's literally growing up from childhood not to go right into the depths of it, but like I grew up as a child, I had sexual abuse as a child. And it's how my brain learned to cope with life and function in life was you smile through it because people don't believe you. You hide it, you smile. It's how my brain trained itself growing up. And I still hide it really well. And I can hide it really well. When I started getting anxiety as an adult, I can hide it really well. But I try not to hide it anymore. I try not to hide it well. I can be more on the positive side, but I hide it well.
Because you've talked about sexual abuse as a child, and I had sexual abuse as a child. But have you talked to many men who have had it? Because it seems like it's okay for a woman to talk about it now.
No, and I wish, as a matter of fact, I had this dream probably 10 years ago, 5-10 years ago, where I wanted to be able to speak to young high school boys where they're just so impressionable right then. And because women have each other to talk to. Women, it's okay to speak to each other. We have our friend groups and our girl groups where we just kind of like commiserate and dump and what do you go? We talk to each other. Boys, men, it's more of a shame thing. And I don't hear a lot from men and a lot from boys. And we all go through the same things. It doesn't just, sexual abuse as a child doesn't discriminate. So we got to somehow. But I wish I wanted years ago, I was like, I want to hit these boys in their youth, in their high school years where they're impressionable, because I don't want them growing up re-traumatizing the women in their lives, the girlfriends. And, it's like when it's not healed, it's got to come out somehow. And
that's people who are abused.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing about when a parent does it to a child, the name.
What do you mean?
I'm blanking. Not pedophilia, but the name when a parent does it to a child.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. So anyways, what that does is that they pass it on. Oh, incest. Yeah. So it's passed on from generation to generation. And what happened, the way it came out was I was helping a woman, a really famous celebrity in India. And by the way, her boyfriend is a 29 degrees Sagittarius.
Oh.
Same as me, and 29 like you. And so she was talking about having relationship issues, and she said, I dealt with my father. Or no, I couldn't deal with my father, but I abused my sister, and then I've dealt with that. I've talked about it. I've worked it through, and then from there, when I was in that session, I'm like, boom, and then it was like I started unraveling the pieces, and I'm like, that's what happened to me, and it was something like I didn't know. I wasn't ready wasn't ready to bring up. Like it just was something inside of me that I kind of had a feeling that something was there, but there was no confirmation in the world. And then I started talking to my sister, and then we started putting pieces together and things that my mom said. And it's like, boom! It's like Harry Potter and Snape. You know, it's all of a sudden Snape's a different guy at the end of the movie.
It's unbelievable how our body knows how to protect itself, and then it knows when to kind of unlock it and reveal itself. And I'm so like, that's amazing that it did that. I'm sure it was not easy realizing and recognizing and seeing that and feeling that, but it's like, if it's not coming out, it's staying in there. And when it's staying in there, what is that doing to our body?
Yeah. I mean that's what it is, and that's actually technically what you were working through.
Yeah.
That's why the somatic therapy. That's why the touch in the body, because we treat this as the brain, but this isn't the brain. This is the processor. We call it a brain. The brain is the body, the interstitium, and this is what processes between all the different systems.
Yep. Yeah, it's our body. That was the biggest thing. That's still my biggest takeaway forever is our body knows exactly what it's doing. It's not making a mistake by bringing on the rashes, by bringing on, all this stuff. Our body knows what it's doing, and it's working perfectly for us.
Absolutely. So a broader question. Do people in your life treat you any differently now that you've done two things? You've been dealing with sexual trauma, and then you also dealt with the explant, which really is about, to some degree, it has to do with sexual trauma. It's how you view yourself in the world.
Absolutely.
Do people in your life treat you differently, like friends and family? Was that?
Yeah. And in the best way possible, because this is more my authentic self. This is more me speaking up for my truth. And I think in the best way possible, when I speak up, I thought I was nervous. Are, my fiance gonna like this? Is, what's my family gonna say? Why do you speak up? Or why do you talk about this? Or very kind of like touchy things, especially because my family is very private. But I think when we speak about stuff, it gives other people the space to feel human and to feel comfortable speaking about things. And to me, if somebody's not comfortable talking about it, I'm totally okay with that. But I would so much rather speak about things and be open with things because it's very healing, cathartic to me, and that's my truth. But I think people, especially in my life, it's like, first they're like, oh, why is she doing that? But then it's like, I get it, and it gives them the space to feel comfortable to speak their truths as well, whatever that is.
So,
and I love that. I love that.
How much do you think it contributed to what we call women's health? Because women's health is a big category. And how much do you figure that in your own personal life? I mean, you're not a doctor, but how much of that trauma do you feel was expressing itself in your body and your life?
It affected, which I hated to admit this for so many years, because I was the person, Garry, that was like, I am not a victim. I hate the word victim. I still refuse to use that word. I love to use the word survivor. But it was like, I will be damned if this man affects my life. 20, 30 years later, this man's affecting my life. I hated it. Hated it. But then I realized, I turned the narrative on it, and it was like, oh, I'm a survivor. I am the way I am. I am a fighter. I am who I am. I'm resilient because of who I choose to be. And that's a me thing. That's not a him thing.
Right.
And I was in denial of how many parts of my life it was affecting, but now it's like, it affects things because it wasn't a choice for me then, but it's a choice for me now, how I react and how I talk and how I share and how I handle it and what I speak about and how I view it. To me, it's given me my grit. It's given me my strength. It's given me my resilience. And for that, I wouldn't change a thing. And I am who I am because of what has happened to me in my life. Not that I would want this or wish this on anybody ever, but you don't get to decide some of these things. We get to decide how we react to it, though. And my reaction is,
so So somebody asked a question earlier. How do you deal with sexual trauma? Like what are the steps? Because I guess if I've gone through it, I know there's a lot of talk about this, but I hear a lot of clinical talk here. Do go talk to a therapist, but even after clinic, you have to go home and deal with it.
Yeah. You know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I never claimed to be, but as somebody who has gone through it and as somebody who has full circled it, owning the truth. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to be something you haven't been able to control, especially as a child or even as adults. Sexual abuse, it's not something we can control, and we can control our reactions and how we respond. So how is this going to affect our life? And for me, my biggest thing is just, I choose how I respond. I choose how I show up in this world. Am I going to perpetuate this type of thing? Am I going to let this affect my future relationships? Am I going to let this affect, I'm here to break these traumas. I'm here to break these things. I'm not passing this on to my child. I'm not passing this on. My mother going through stuff in her life, she passed on stuff to me that she went through. And her response to when I had sexual abuse and came out with it was terrible. And for years we had the worst relationship. And then it wasn't until I was like, what happened to you? Who hurt you? And I remember.
That had to have been okay, I just got it when you said what happened to you. I mean, I get the way it works, but that just hit me differently. It's because it's she was angry at you because it was something that she hadn't dealt with.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And I remember she was in the nursing home, and she was in the beginning, mid stages of her dementia, still aware, still knew who I was, still at all that. But that was my response was, who hurt you? For you to have to say you can't talk about it. I talk about it. I get it out. Who hurt you to say you have to be quiet?
Wow.
And you're telling me to be quiet.
Wow. Wow. I watched my mom go from healthy to dead in 6 months over that exact same thing.
Powerful. It's powerful. And my space in this world is because I speak up about it, because I talk about it. It takes away the power of the abuser. Their whole reason in life is they want you to be quiet. They don't want you to talk about it. That's why they abuse, is because they pick the ones that they know won't speak up about it. And they don't pick the outspoken ones. And so for me, I'm changing this narrative, and I will talk every single day, all day, to whoever wants to talk about it, not as reliving it or anything, but as it takes away the power of that abuse and what it did to me as a child and my innocence. And now it's coming from an empowered Claire. I refuse, it's from an empowered Claire. I refuse to let it be a negative thing in my life.
Yeah. I mean, boy, I felt that. I felt that right here, right now. That was, and then people in the comments are feeling it too.
Yeah, and that's when you ask, what did your family say about this? What do your friends say about this? Not that I don't care, but I care for me. And that's something for a long time that was, when you smile through things, when you bury things, when you hide things, when you act like everything's okay, that wasn't for me. Breast implants wasn't for me. I thought it was, but it wasn't for me. It was the outside looking in. And when I speak up, when I speak my voice, when I say, I don't care if this makes somebody uncomfortable to talk about, this is my truth. You don't have to listen to it, or if it makes you uncomfortable, I understand, but this is my truth. I'm not going to disrespect my body and my truth to make somebody else comfortable.
When I'm doing releases with people, and it's a throat release, it's I will speak my truth, even if it's inconvenient for others. Yeah. Because that's what it is shining the powerful light on it. The tooth goddess says, so powerful, you are powerful with your words, helping so many people. That's the truth. I can feel it. I'm getting goosebumps right now. Literal goosebumps.
Same. Every time I come on with you, there's things that like we talk about that just get me so emotional. And I'm so grateful for this space because with my audience on social media, it's a lot of the bachelor crowd and a lot of like the drama and the surface level stuff. But when you really sit down and talk to people, which you've given me the space to do as we sit and chat and stuff, it's humanizing. It's the real side of things. It's not the makeup and the dresses and the, edited television show. It's, you've given me the space to show humanness and things we all go through and the realness of it. So I'm honored to be here with you, Garry, like always.
You know what? Because I've worked in Hollywood and worked with all the celebrities and billionaires. There's very few people like you that have the humility, and willing to talk about it yourself is what reveals it. Like you said, it takes that big flashlight and puts it in that dark corner, and people are like, "Okay, I got through it, but I'm not going to talk about it." I'm like, that's how it keeps going forward.
Yeah, and every time I talk about it, even though I've processed it all, and it like gets it out, gets that energy out of my body, and it is honoring who I am. And every time that I honor who I am as a woman, and I've spoken about, when I've been getting into relationships before prior to Ryan, it was like, oh, it's uncomfortable. People don't want to talk about it. But I used to tell men, if this makes you uncomfortable, you are not my person. You are not my type of people, because this is what is healing for me. This is what, if you don't want to know what I've gone through, who I am to get me to where I am, that's not love. You need to know what has gotten me to the strong Claire who I am today to really love me. You can't love me now without knowing where I've been.
Did you hesitate in your relationship with Ryan to talk about this stuff in the early stages?
Not for 1 second. I was already well past the point of, I was just kind of like, this is who it is. This is who I am. And I talk about it publicly. So if it makes you uncomfortable, that's okay. Sorry, you're not my person. And he's just like the biggest, like, get it, girl. Like, he's like, yeah, put it out. Even more so, he's talk about it. Put it out there. And, I read something that was like, you're healing when you can talk about it and heal, like, deal with your stuff and heal yourself as a level of healing. But to me, the next level of healing is helping other people. And I know I can take that on. I love my social media space for that. I try to share as much as I can share, because to me, there's the little Claires of the world and the young Claires of the world that aren't at, a certain phase of it, and that need that encouragement to go, it's not only okay to talk about it, like, do it for yourself. Even if it's with a friend, even if it's with one person, two people, your family, wherever you feel safe, like, talk about it. Get it out of your body. Then that's when our healing starts, is when it's like, you're getting all this energy out, it gives more space to take on and to fill up your bucket with like good stuff and good energy.
Alexandra, who's in Chile, says, so beautiful. My legs are shaking. I can feel a healing coming through me also. And Kay Sizzle says, crying. I mean, a lot of people just aren't willing to talk about it because of the shame that goes along with everything. I mean, not only the sexual abuse, but even the implants and explants. I can't tell you how many women I see get implants and then cover them.
That was me. And we're sports bras every day. I have a million different sports bras in every color.
Yeah, and it's like I have a belief that I want to have this, but when I get there, I find out that that's not really what I wanted.
Yeah, it's like, is this going to fix me? Is this going to fix the inadequacy or the lack thereof? Whatever, fill in the blank. Is this going to fix, what I think I need?
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, life's going forward now. You've been clearing all this stuff, and you've been clearing it for a very important moment.
Yeah.
How long to the baby now?
I can't wait. She's due in mid-January.
Wow, and a Capricorn. You're gonna get along with that Capricorn.
I can't
She's there to show you the opposite of you, that's for sure.
I can't wait. I mean, it's just every time, even now I talk about it, I'm like, it's so unbelievable to be this far along, and it's every dream I've ever had of being a mother is like, it's happening.
Did name yet, or still in the?
We have like 3 or 4 different names, and then we say when we're gonna see her, we're gonna pick what she looks like and kind of what her little energy feels like.
So, are you putting any out there, or are you telling everybody and you're deciding? Or
no, not putting any out there. It's a name. I'm so congested. It's a name that I haven't heard, and it's not a common name. The one that I love, that I want to pick, but we've got a couple that are just very sentimental and very just special. So I kind of just, we'll see when we see her.
So Alexandra says, I heard that the baby whispers a name to you. And so the way it goes, there's inside of the Human Garage Mighty Networks community portal, you can type in your song, and there's a description of a mother. It shows an African mother leaning over a baby, just beautiful, right? Yeah. And it talks about how a baby is conceived, and then how the baby's named. And the mother would go sit by a tree and think of the baby. And they consider the conception of the baby to be the time that the mother thinks about the baby in her mind. And then she hears a song. Uh-huh. And then as she hears the song, she starts singing the song. She comes back to the husband and teaches him the song, and then they make love to create the baby. Ah. And then what happens is as the baby's born, the midwives and the villagers all greet the baby with the song, because the midwives go out and teach the song to the village. And then anytime the child does something right, they sing the song. They all sing the song. And what the coolest part is, if the child has an aberrant behavior or does something socially incorrect, they bring the child into the center of a circle, and the whole tribe will sing the song to the child again, so that they recognize how special that they are and that they have a place.
Oh, I love that. You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
So my name is Claire Delane, and my mom and dad, I was always like, how did you come up with my name? And they listened to the song forever, Claire Delune. And we always joke, we're like, is that the song you put on when it was like happening?
So they say that the baby whispers to the mother, and the reason why mothers know, because I like Claire Delune. No, it's because the mother likes it because and is attracted to it because that's the baby's song. My first name is it's biblical. It's Nathaniel, but it's with an I. It's an IEL. It's AEL, which means IEL is a gift from God, but my name is God has already given. That's mine. It's the AEL. And then my second name, Garry, or Garrard, Garrard, means a spear that pierces the water, and the water or water. And my last name, Lineham, to find a new homestead. So basically, I came here to help people find a new home inside their bodies by piercing the water, and that's my life's goal. That's what I'm here to do.
That could not be more accurate.
So that's why I'm curious about the name. I can't wait to hear the name, and so I can build a story for you.
I cannot wait for that as well. I really cannot wait for that as well. I'm definitely I'm not going to say what it is, but
yeah. Tell me, because I like to do is what I do is I take the Greek and the Latin derivatives of the name, and then there's a story in there, like because it means this or that.
Yeah.
And then from that story, I'll do yours. What's your middle name again?
Delane. Delane.
Hey, text it to me, and then what I'm gonna do is I'll do a story for your name.
Okay. Oh, I would love that. I would love that. Oh my gosh, I would love that.
So I don't know if you're gonna join it, but we have a 29-degree call with Chris Witecki right after this. So I'm gonna end a few minutes early today because I want to get on the spot.
I'm going to jump on that too. I saw you post about that last night.
Okay. Claire, I appreciate you so much for doing what you're doing to share and help. You are shining a massive light on these issues that everybody talks about, but nobody wants to talk about.
And that's my life's mission, because it's like, it's helped me, and I appreciate you giving me the space to pay it forward and to be able to put it out there to help others.
It's going to be a big space in about 4 or 5 months, because the world's going through this massive crisis spot, and they need to hear these messages. And that's why we're recording and taking this stuff. It's that when people need to hear the messages, we can't always be there, but we can have recordings that help people convey it.
Absolutely. I'm here for it.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you so much, Gary. I'll see you in a little bit.
See you in a bit.